The J.P. Morgan Jr., built in 1910 by the American Shipbuilding Company in Lorain, Ohio. The Morgan was named after John Pierpont Jack Morgan Jr. This was the son of John Pierpont Morgan, an American banker. Jack himself was an American banker, financier, and philanthropist. He inherited his family's fortune and then took over his father's business, J.P. Morgan & Co. This was in 1913. From then on, Jack continued to lead the firm and was involved in many significant financial endeavors, this being during and after World War I. It's also worth bringing up here a distinction between two vessels with the same name, however, they are completely different. There is the steamship J.P. Morgan Jr., which is today's video, and then there is the Corsair No. 4 yacht. This too was associated with J.P. Morgan Jr. The Corsair No. 4 was commissioned by Morgan Jr. in 1930, and then later it was converted into a luxury cruise ship in 1947. Then in 1949, however, it sank. Both of these vessels share the same name and inspiration for them, however, both have different purposes and very different histories. The steamship J.P. Morgan Jr. came in at a length of 580 feet. She had a width of 58 feet, a depth of 32 feet, and she had a gross tonnage of 7,521 tons. She could also carry a net tonnage of 5,824 tons. During her time, the Morgan would carry cargo like iron ore across the Great Lakes. On a foggy Wednesday, June 23, 1948, the steamship Crete was upbound and light on Lake Superior. Also, the J.P. Morgan Jr. as well was downbound and heavy loaded with iron ore from Duluth. At around 5 a.m., in a position about 135 miles east of Duluth and about 30 miles northwest of the western entrance to the Portage Canal, the Crete and the Morgan, in the thick of the fog, appeared out of nowhere, almost completely head-on towards each other. The two ships smashed into each other, or more correctly, the Crete smashed into the front bow of the Morgan. The collision from the Crete into the Morgan peeled back the bow section. This exposed the interior section of the Morgan and the forecastle and the decks below. Ripping and shredding metal against each other, this opened up the Texas cabin and pushed the entire bridge structure backward and over toward the starboard side. In the moment of the collision, the Morgan's forward structure was smashed backward and flooded. However, something more deadly occurred in the collision. Two of the Morgan's crew members were killed and crushed instantly in the collision. 3 more were severely injured. Being that the Crete at the time was very light, she was way above the Morgan when they smashed and loomed over her. The Crete's damage was confined to the lower bow, where her plates and frames were set back some 20 feet. After the initial collision, the two ships, the Crete and the Morgan, immediately reversed and separated from each other. This was in an effort to relocate the Morgan in the thick, heavy fog. However, the Crete herself almost got into a second collision with the passing Kingsman transit steamer Harry L. Finlay, if I'm saying that word correctly. The USCG Woodrush was sent immediately to the scene from Duluth, and with the assistance of the Corps of Engineers tug Barlow, the Morgan was brought into the Portage Canal and secured at Houghton, Michigan. There were temporary repairs made to ensure that the Morgan could be towed safely. She was then taken in tow by the tug Wyoming, which took her down to Lorain, Ohio, where major repairs were made. The Morgan needed practically an entire new bow and forward deckhouse to be reconstructed on her. After all the repairs were made, it wasn't until September 5th of 1948 that the Morgan was returned to service on the Great Lakes. The Crete herself was seriously damaged, but she wasn't in any immediate danger. After the collision, the Crete then made her way on her own to the shipyard at Superior, Wisconsin, where repairs were also made on her. It was reported that this, in terms of extent of damage, was the most costliest collision that ever occurred on Lake Superior, however, without any ship being sunk. This accident was also one that would never be forgotten by the masters of the ships involved. There is also an unsourced clipping from the late Ivan S. Brooks, dated Cleveland, February 18, 1949. This report said that the United States Coast Guard yesterday suspended for 1 year the license of Captain Stanley Kielbasa, 60, of Chicago. He was the captain of the steamship Crete in the collision. This involving the collision with another American freighter, the J.P. Morgan Jr., on Lake Superior last summer. Captain F.W. Quinn, captain of the Morgan, also has been charged with negligence. After the Morgan was repaired and returned to service, she was eventually sold for scrap in 1980 and broken up in Spain. The Crete as well was also towed to Italy for scrapping in 1962. And that is the full story of the collision of the J.P. Morgan Jr. and the Crete on June 23, 1948, off of Devil's Island on Lake Superior. Well, everyone, we've had several collisions on this channel, but boy, with the images from this one, that was quite a doozy. I guess it was just a bunch of contributing factors that caused this horrible collision. The super dense fog significantly reduced visibility for everybody on the vessels. I guess this created a lot of challenges in maneuvering these huge vessels with low visibility. Go figure with that. I mean, trying to steer something that big in low fog. I wonder if there was also, maybe there weren't proper horn signals being made. Negligence of the crew of one of or both of the vessels is something that people were thinking may have happened. But yeah, this just sounds like everything went bad. I wonder if, I'm not sure if at the time yet technology was quite where it needed to be to reduce these kinds of collisions, but as you can see from the video and the images, it still very much happened. Yeah, I couldn't find any sources that definitively could say who the two crew members were that were unfortunately killed in the collision, but I wanted to bring that to the channel, those two men who died in that terrible accident. I believe one of the subscribers, or I've seen somebody else, has quite extensively covered this story, so maybe if you know who you are, I would love any additional information or maybe some unique things that you've discovered about this story. But yeah, everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. This was an interesting one, and one that I had recently found, and but yeah, no less of a story and collision. So, but with that being said, guys, I thank you very much for joining me again on today's episode. And yeah, we got the second interview with Rick Mixture coming up soon here, August 26th. So I have a good start of questions, but yeah, please feel free to post in the comment section on the post on the channel your questions, guys, because I will be meeting with Rick again, and as we all know, he is such a delight to have on the channel. So, but thank you, guys. I hope you're all doing well, and as always, God bless you all. Until next time.